Welcome to the weekend update for Liberty, Leadership, and Lies with Larry Linton, coming to you once again from the Goat Locker studio in Sevierville, Tennessee. Well, if you listened to Wednesday's episode, you will know that I tested positive for COVID earlier in the week. And based upon when I believe I was exposed, I'm now sitting at day 14 and feeling quite fine. In fact, my only symptoms were fatigue, and my sense of taste is greatly diminished, but not totally gone. Now that I have natural immunity to the virus, as God intended my immunity system to work, there really is no need to submit myself to the still only emergency use authorization vaccine. Hope you all noticed how the government and the media lied about full FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine. The full-blown lies about the approval in the media and government circles is just further proof that our government hates us. Bribes, coercion, force, and lies will not be needed for a product that is good for you. Anyway, things are back to normal in the Linton house. Just a few more days of isolation to make sure the lovely and talented Denise and I will not spread the virus around. We really miss loving on the puppies, and they sure do miss cuddling with us, but we got to keep them safe. I'm going to skip local and state news this weekend and would like to ask the audience to keep the families of our Marines and sailors that lost their lives in Afghanistan this week in your prayers. But it's hard to express the anger I feel about what happened. Well, anger and sadness, really. If you remember, a couple of weeks ago, I was asked by the men's ministry in my church to provide some parting words of encouragement to a young man that was leaving for Army basic training. I was glad to do that because I'm still inspired that there are young people still willing to serve our country. As a matter of fact, it sort of amazes me that that is still happening. I feel immense sadness, though, because I have seen what has been happening to our armed forces for the past few months. It's been going on for years, but it's increasing. Not only is it becoming completely woke at the highest levels of the chain of command, we now see that there's an extreme vacuum of leadership starting at the very top. Our soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians are leaderless. Leaderless, not in the sense that there isn't a chain of command, there is one, but it's populated with people who do not have the best interests of our country at heart. They are serving under leadership that will sell them out to increase their power, their influence, all across the world stage. I have seen the social media posts from a lot of people concerning the events in Afghanistan, asking for prayers and, most often, asking to not make this political. What an absolute farce. For the most part, the people who do not want political posts on their comments are the ones responsible for this mess. They do not want to be called out for their support for the usurper-in-chief and his woke cabinet that bear the blame for this needless loss of life. What did you think was going to happen when our enemies around the globe saw that you helped to install one of the weakest people to ever serve in elected office as the leader of the free world? So no, I'm not going to let anybody that supports that dementia-riddled pedophile escape their responsibility for one of the darkest days of the mission in Afghanistan. You weak-kneed liberals that said Orange Man bad wasn't presidential, you are responsible for the most unpresidential person to ever occupy the White House in modern history. You are responsible for the deaths of our Marines, our sailor, and the numerous other civilians that day in Afghanistan. You will not escape the role you played in this fiasco. You that believe the current occupant of the White House received the most votes ever for President of the United States? Well, we know you do not actually believe that, but you're just happy that Donald Trump is no longer there. Your hatred for that man has led to the deaths of our service members. Their blood is on your hands. The grief of all of their families here at home is your responsibility. Your hatred for anything and everything Donald Trump has led to the weakening of our republic and the emboldening of our enemies. You don't want to turn this into a political position is laughable. Every time an enemy attacks the United States of America, it is political. Your support of liberals and Democrats that hate our country as it was founded led directly to the action last week. You would rather serve our country fail, our country be weakened, our service members killed on foreign soil, as long as Donald Trump is not in office. As long as anybody that loves our country, our Constitution, our way of life is not occupying the White House, you are content. You don't want to have the deaths of our service members be turned into some kind of political statement on your social media post, attempting to demonstrate that you care about those Marines, that sailor, those civilians. Tough. You, along with a sycophant, boot-leaking media, bear the majority of the blame for this tragedy. Joe Biden doesn't bear as much blame as you. After all, he should be in an assisted living facility being cared for by medical professionals, not propped up by your actions and the actions of the media into the awesome role of being the leader of the free world. He should be allowed to live out the rest of his days making the difficult decision of what flavor ice cream to have. But no, your hatred for one man and the America First policies he has put our country in this position. You are responsible, and your day of reckoning is coming. Until next week, this has been the weekend update of Liberty, Leadership, and Lies with Larry Linton. I pray you all have a wonderful weekend. Stand in the arena. Reveille, it's time to wake up.